Having lost all 3 times against Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya has a mountain to climb at UFC 287, which the two arch rivals will battle for the UFC middleweight title once again. The last stylebender is at a crucial point in his career where a 4th consecutive loss against Poatan will badly dent his legacy. The question is, does Adesanya have the mental and physical strength to conquer what so far has been unconquerable? Let's take a deep look into Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya Part 2 and find some answers. Who has the edge in an all-out striking battle? Israel Adesanya is arguably the best technical striker in the UFC. But if there's anyone who can match him in that department, it's Alex Pereira. And that is what makes this matchup so intriguing. In all of their 3 previous bouts, which included 2 kickboxing matches and an MMA fight, Adesanya had the upper hand for the most part. But Pereira still found a way to ruin his night. Pereira seems to have Adesanya's number, and he has rung his foe's bell 2 out of the 3 times. Most recently at UFC 281, where Adesanya was knocked out in the 5th round of their fight, which he was winning. In the 1st round, Adesanya had badly rocked Pereira, but Poatan was saved by the bell. If only he had a few seconds to land a couple of additional blows, Pereira would have been put to sleep, Adesanya would have exacted his revenge, and the world would have been a happier place for the former champion. MMA is the most brutal sport in the world for a reason. But in a way, Adesanya has himself to blame too for the way things played out the last time around. Adesanya cracked and outstruck Pereira numerous times throughout the fight, but he let him off the hook time and time again. His intent was lacking, and that is something he has to regret for the rest of his life if he fails to exact his revenge at UFC 287. Technically, Adesanya is a better striker than Pereira, but his luck somehow always seems to run out when the two face each other. A long and rangy striker who is a master at controlling the distance and attacking his opponents without taking damage in return, Adesanya is a tough cookie to crack for everyone but Pereira. Since making his UFC debut, he's had tremendous success against some of the best fighters in the UFC's uber-talented middleweight division, including Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa. Against smaller guys in the division, Adesanya uses his length and size to perfection. But since Pereira is a massive guy for the middleweight division, Adesanya's physical gifts are canceled out. Pereira isn't as fluid as Adesanya and doesn't care about distance management at all. He loves to stand in front of his opponents, stare them in the eye, and give them a taste of his crushing leg and body kicks before unleashing his most potent weapon, the deadly left hook, which has put dozens of fighters to sleep. Pereira's superhuman knockout power is his ultimate equalizer against Adesanya's technical prowess. This isn't to say that Pereira isn't technical. He is, and he adopted a very wise game plan against Adesanya at UFC 281. Since the former champ heavily relies on his wide stance and agility to keep his head away from danger, Pereira consistently attacked his legs and compromised his movements before unloading on him. Pereira's plan worked wonders, but there's a reason why he is able to execute his game plan better than most middleweights facing Adesanya. The reason is his size and reach, which is virtually identical to Adesanya's. The last stylebender is very conservative in his approach, while Pereira is quite aggressive, and their statistics match their styles. Pereira lands 5.5 significant strikes per minute on average, whereas Israel lands a little under 4. However, Pereira's aggressiveness leaves him open to counter shots, and he's more hittable compared to Adesanya. The Brazilian absorbs more than 3.5 significant strikes per minute, whereas Adesanya absorbs less than 3. For Pereira, the game plan is simple. All he has to do is attack Adesanya's legs and body and take the wind out of him before unleashing his haymakers. What can Israel do differently this time to avoid another nightmare? Who has the edge in the grappling? Since Adesanya is a better mixed martial artist than Pereira, he should use a combination of striking and wrestling to keep his opponent on his toes. Adesanya's point fighting style will work great against Pereira, especially in the early rounds. But if the fight goes past the 3rd round and Pereira feels that he's behind on the judges' scorecards, He will go for broke, and once the Brazilian powerhouse engages in a firefight, he wins it more often than not. That is exactly why Adesanya should shoot for takedowns. Needless to say, it'll be a moral victory for Pereira because it'll mean that Adesanya is scared to stand and trade shots. But it's mixed martial arts at the end of the day, and nobody remembers the loser. So why should Israel take risk? Adesanya had quite a lot of success in the wrestling department in his first fight against Pereira, who was pretty clueless on the mats, to be fair. So much so that guys like Khamzat Chimaev started licking their lips over a potential fight against him. The middleweight division has quite a few wrestlers in its ranks, and that's why Pereira has been sharpening his wrestling and grappling skills under Glover Teixeira. Still, he isn't a top-level fighter as far as well-roundedness is concerned, and Adesanya should take advantage of that. Adesanya isn't an elite wrestler himself, but he's better than Pereira, and he must channel his inner Khabib Nurmagomedov to get the job done if needed. It'll be interesting to see how the two maneuver if and when the fight hits the mat. Once bitten, twice shy. The psychological factor. Having already knocked him out twice, Pereira will be entering the octagon with his confidence through the roof. Adesanya, however, may be on the back foot for the same reason. Even in his fight at UFC 281, Adesanya looked visibly scared of Pereira's power. And things will only be tougher when they lock horns for the second time in the UFC and the fourth time overall. Regardless of how tough Adesanya may be, his twin knockout losses will stay at the back of his mind for as long as the fight plays out. And to fight a monster like Pereira with a major mental block will be a challenge within a challenge. Adesanya's mental toughness will be tested big time when he takes on the man mountain that is Poatan. Final verdict. With that, it's time for the final verdict. Adesanya clearly has the edge technically and strategically, but Pereira's power is the ultimate difference maker. That is what makes this fight so even. I think Adesanya will implement his adjustments better and survive this time around to get the job done and reclaim his throne. That said, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2 at UFC 287. So please share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please show the channel some love by subscribing, smashing the bell icon next to it so you get notified the next time I upload one. Thanks a ton for watching, and we'll see you another time.